Radio and Television Commission of Lithuania, Mr. Mantas Martišius. Thank you for speaking to us today, and welcome to the podcast hosted by Sector 3 Hub for Development. My name is Nina Shengelia, and today we will be speaking about disinformation, fake news, social media platforms in a context of Lithuania as well as generally and globally, because obviously it is a worldwide problem. Russian disinformation is not a new topic to the Baltic states, to Lithuania, Estonia and Latvia. The resistance to propaganda's influence is one of the top priorities of your government, and it's on your political agenda, and it has been for a while now. With the fast-paced development of technology, fake news dissemination has become it's spread very easily, and in Georgia we're feeling the effects of that as well. In terms of regulation, democratic states are torn between protecting fundamental human rights against freedom of speech. And this all brings me to my first question. I would like to ask you, what are the measures in place for dealing with disinformation and fake news in Lithuania? And how do you approach anti-Western propaganda?
The first question is, it just sounds easy, but answering is not so much. Let's start with several issues. I think what we have to acknowledge with, let's say, we have two problems here. One is technological and another one is juridical. It's laws, etc. In the second half of the 20th century, the states, at that time in the United States, we agreed upon certain issues. And at that time, we had the technology, but usually they operated within the borders of the states. Yes, if you live close to the border, you can sometimes get some signals for radio from another country on television signals, but more or less we've been, let's say, divided media spheres. But technologies will change. But first of all, satellites will run internet now, social media, it actually penetrates, and it's possible, but very difficult to say, to close your borders and to live in the vacuum. So you are open up, you are exposed to influences from abroad. And another thing is is juridical, but in 1975, states agreed upon that usually we will not make any restrictions for, let's say, banning the signals of radios, etc. And they agreed upon and to make, let's say, more mutual understanding, to help to benefit the world. But this as well helps if you want to, let's say, make harm or to make influence, make political effect upon other countries. It is possible to use those mediums, and there is a little juridical tools to stop this. Usually in the European Union and abroad, with the main, let's say, the main background when you can force to stop some signals from abroad is actually upon hate speech. The background is this television station or channel or media site is spreading hate speech, inciting of violence, and so on. But with propaganda, as you said, the propaganda is not in the scope of those directions. So, sadly to say, but usually you can spread fake news and get away with this. This is the big problem. And yeah, so we are dealing with what we can do, but we are not, let's say, cleaning all the information field. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is a very easily the problem exasperates very easily, and it's difficult to deal with. And you mentioned European Union as well, and the Code of Practice Against Disinformation has been introduced by European Commission in October 2018 in a bid to combat fake news in the run-up to the parliamentary elections, European parliamentary election in 2019. Would you say that this is a sufficient mechanism, so this code of practice against disinformation, is it sufficient to deal with fake news on social media?
Honestly, not. Sorry to say to my European friends, we have to understand several things. At the European Commission, we wanted to do something, and we thought, okay, we have to combat this fake news, but not to combat it in such a way that we will somehow ban a flow of free speech. So we made those decisions. But unfortunately, they are steps towards, let's say, counter-fighting, but we are quite small steps, and we are far away from reaching a goal to stopping and preventing those fake news spread. So, but nevertheless, so on one hand, we have good intentions and political understanding that we have to do something. On the other hand, we have not sufficient tools to combat this. But, but in my opinion, when you know what you want to achieve, what you want to do, and there's political will, eventually you will find a way how to stop it. It's much harder when you don't have this political will. So if you don't have the political will, usually you will not have and the tools and measures to stop.
No, fair enough, absolutely. The political will plays a significant role in advancing these measures. And hate speech is obviously a big problem that's associated with social media. It's one of the most apparent examples of freedom of speech that cannot be tolerated in a modern democracy, obviously, because it has its own boundaries. And fighting hate speech is very difficult. It's hard to set boundaries, where the freedom of, in the framework of freedom of expression, where it fits in. And there is no perfect recipe in limiting hate speech online, obviously. I would probably have to say that Europe is still very much a laboratory. It's a lab for regulatory options. And in this regard, what would be your opinion on sort of regulating hate speech on social media?
We have a problem here because on social media, it's several layers of problems. But first of all, with social media, usually we have big ones, they are giants. And in my opinion, what social media lacks, because we have sometimes over the billions accounts, we can't supervise and follow up what's on that media. And the problem is that from time to time, there are some pages, some accounts which are actually spreading this hate speech. And of course, we try to use this artificial intelligence to stop, to prevent, etc., this hate speech to ban. But not always we react quite quickly and sufficiently and effectively. It's sad to say. Another thing that we have to say is that, for instance, European Union, if you have some, let's say, problems I would like to talk about, what you saw on Facebook, etc., they're under the jurisdiction of Ireland. You have to apply to Irish commissioners, Irish regulators. And if everyone will start to apply to Irish commissioners, we will be we will actually be drawn to the papers, the complaints. It's impossible to deal with. And for a moment, we do not have effective solution how to make, let's say, on one hand, quite effective mechanism to cope with that problem. And another thing, not, let's say, to ban everything, because one of the easiest things is, let's say, to ban everything, to say, this is, you can't do this, that, and then eventually just stop using social media. So in European Union and as well in Lithuania, and I think, let's say, democratic states, we understand that you have social media and you have to deal with, let's say, to find the balance, good balance. And it's not easy to do, to balance between fighting against fake news, hate speech in social media, and as well to fighting proper, let's say, solution, not to take all the oxygen from social media and then we will just suffocate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there needs to be a room for technological development and advancement. We can't limit it too much, so it's a difficult balance to strike, to say the least. Okay, so my next question would be, the Radio and Television Commission of Lithuania has been working closely with Central Electoral Commission of Lithuania in 2019 to monitor political advertising on social media platforms. You're obviously aware that we have our parliamentary elections coming up in October 2020. What would be your advice in this regard, regarding monitoring political adverts on social media? Because obviously Facebook, it plays a very big role in the media platform in Georgia.
My advice will be, you have to understand, first of all, that usually those who try to, let's say, use information war and information influence tools, we're doing this not for sake of interest or pleasure. Usually we have some goals, and usually the biggest goals some have political influence upon states where they use those information attack tools and so on. So parliamentary elections is opportunity to use something, and those who regulate, we have to monitor closely. So be prepared is one advice. The second advice, what I would like to say is do not do not, let's say, believe or be dependent upon Facebook and feeling that Facebook will provide all the data. Facebook is the big mechanisms, and usually because we are so big, so large, usually they are not very good and noticing what's happening. So you have to have persons who will monitoring on physical basis, actually scrolling, watching, etc. And if you will find it, you have to, let's say, working together with Electoral Commission to prevent this. Because now Facebook becoming and social media becoming static and eventually will be for foreseeable future the main media source for constituents, and everything now from television and radio, this influence goes from where to the social media. And you have to understand this, and you have to look carefully what's happening where. So be prepared. Thankfully, in our last year European elections, somehow those who try to intervene for their internal, say Russian, for their internal purposes, they haven't been very active. But if we will be very active, we will have a lot of job to do.
Absolutely. Busy times with Facebook and elections coming up. And this brings me to my final question. President of the US, Mr. Donald Trump, has been highly critical of social media in recent months. And you have also expressed your personal opinion on this subject on your Facebook page. And please tell us what are your thoughts generally with regards to the regulation of social media?
Yeah, you're putting me in a quite delicate situation, I would say. Okay, we have to understand several things. Now, we have radio and television, which actually regulated very heavily. They have, you can't transmit certain advertisements on certain times. You have other restrictions. But when we have regulation of media on demand, it's Netflix. We are regulating them, but not so hard as television and radio. And as well, when we have video sharing platforms, it's YouTube, Facebook, etc. And they are regulated quite easily. And the problem is, it's double sword. On one problem is that actually all the money, all that media audience attention goes from television and radio towards social media. And because we are regulated very easily, we have upper hand comparing to others. So on one hand, we have, for, let's say, economical reasons, to regulate more, let's say, we have to balance this regulation. It's not good that if you regulate one very heavily and others not so much, so those who are here, they have, as I said, advantage. And the second thing is, I don't have the answer, let's say, technical or juridical answer how to do it. I know it, but this is a problem. And for instance, if in New York Times will write something and it will be fake news, according to USA legislation, the New York Times will have some responsibilities for those spreading the fake news, and you can sue them, for instance. And if you will find fake news on social media, now in USA, they are, let's say, they have this exemption. The social media, Instagram, etc., they say it's not us, we are just platform. You have to sue those who downloaded this, put it this information in our site. And here, you know, Donald Trump is claiming that, okay, we have to make with Facebook and New York Times will be on equal grounds, on the same grounds, and we have to be juridically equally responsible towards, and you can be sued. I don't know, is it the best way to deal with this, but we have to have some, let's say, tools that will make us as regulators and as audience more secure and more not so exposed to vulnerabilities of information, attacks of and as well spreading of false news. So we have to do that. Unfortunately, Nina, I don't have yet the clear answer. So I have more. My answer to your question is more questions.
No, fair enough. This is a very difficult subject, and obviously the different countries have different approaches. I mean, Europe is sort of more pro-regulation. The US until now was sort of more pro-freedom of speech. So I completely understand the discussion that you have, you have provided, and it's been extremely interesting. Thank you so much, Mr. Mantas, for taking time to speak to me, and it's been a pleasure. And I hope you stay safe and healthy in Lithuania.
Stay safe and happy, and good luck to all in Sakartvelo.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.